there's a model longhouse. You know what a longhouse is? What's a longhouse?
It's like a lot of houses. They do like meetings or
Big brain. All right, how many of you have been to Malawi for the Homeland Grounds? Pretty good. The rest of you better go. We'll quiz you later. But there's a longhouse there, which is basically an Indian church. They hold services there, but also meetings. In fact, there's a meeting there tonight. Where was it? Oh, upstairs. So Carla will be there at that meeting tonight, but she did all the work up here. And did any of you happen to see the jazz concert that we did here? Okay, Julia Keith, the jazz singer, who's an internationally known jazz singer and now has an all-indigenous big band that's playing in New York, okay, and doing a West Coast tour next year. Julia Keith is Carla's niece, and she has her sister was the first Native American broadcaster on network television. So anyway, one more thing. How many of you have been to the hospital recently? I hope none of you have. Okay. In the lobby of the hospital is an exhibit that we call the Nez Perce Oregon Removal and Return. And we built that for the state capitol, and it'll go to the state capitol in about a year when they get done remodeling. But you can see it there, and it has a timeline and major events in how the Nez Perce lived here, got kicked out of here, and are now coming back here. Okay? So it's at the hospital. Take your parents down and take a look at that exhibit. Okay, are we ready to go then? It's fashionably past noon.
So I didn't know if you needed the microphone or not.
You do.
I do, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
So just so that for the YouTube, I think.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
yeah.
Well,
We'll see.
It's a privilege to have Mr. Fulfer, Olan Fulfer, here to talk to students and to talk to a bunch of adults from the community. I know you guys know some of Olan's story. He had kind of a hard scrabble growing up, and with help from some relatives and teachers and coaches, made his way through Eastern.
Not a whole lot. But, I mean, it was, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Hey,
That was it. So that,
encouragement.
a little bit. So, yeah, that's kind of what actually got me into teaching was there was not a lot. So I was homeless for on and off, and my mom was killed by my stepdad, and my dad was handicapped, and so we bounced around from place to place to place, lived in motels, lived in vans, campgrounds, and that kind of stuff. And I can count on my hand how many people actually helped. Like when I didn't have shoes. Very rarely did I was the one without coats and all that kind of stuff. And so, thinking about that, I got into teaching so that I can help those kind of students and make sure that they have all their needs met. Like if you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you don't have your basic needs met, you cannot get any education. We cannot reach these children. And so one massive thing that I wanted to do, and this isn't even in my slides, is I wanted to touch on that as well. Is I wish that there was more help. I didn't have a single teacher talk to me about college. I was working through high school, my grades were poor. Not having internet, not having a computer, not having those kind of basic things. My mindset in high school was just get through today. I struggled with mental health issues, just every single day, the battling and what can I do to help my siblings get through school, and then seeing cousins, seeing so many people drop out of school, that kind of lit a fire under me to be I'm going to become a teacher to make sure that those kind of kids get through. And then my other goal was I am going to try to do everything I can to set the example to get more students to, when they become adults, they want to help others as well. And so that's where all of this comes from. And I know it says Adventure in India, but I wanted to more make it a highlight of my students and the school and what the kids are doing up there, because that is the actual incredible work. The stuff that I do with charity, it all started with my students. It started in a health class. And that's like the first one, East Africa, yes, that started in a health class a few years ago. They did research, and I'll go through all this on that one, but, oh, sorry, yeah.
Well, I'll
but,
shut up.
Oh, no, yep.
No. Anyway, now some of the adults here that don't know the story, or how many of you students knew the story that he was homeless in high school? Okay, he makes that pretty public.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, so he's taken to teaching and coaching so they can help other people, and now going to other places to help other people and set an example for how we might act in the world, right?
Yes,
Okay.
hopefully.
Olan Fulfer, how about it?
All right, so I don't do well talking in front of like big groups. I love talking in front of my classes, but sports banquets were always something that just absolutely terrified me. I say no. I had my 8th graders ask if I would be their guest speaker, and I had to say no because the one time I did it was just nerve-wracking. You could ask my wife here, like just writing things up and then like practicing in my head. The lead up to that is terrifying. So what I do to help is I'm going to have each and every one of you guys stand up, tell me your name, and tell me your life story. So I'm going to start with you, Cheryl. Yes. All of it, please. Yeah, just help me out. No, totally kidding. So I was going to start with you, actually, but the camera's not on you, so it would have been funnier. Or Mrs. Dotson. I was going to pick somebody and be like, come up here and see if they would go with it, and then just say, no, I'm just kidding. But that would help. But yeah, so it does say Adventure in India. I will hit on that, and I'll try to make it pretty quick. I do have several students that are going to kind of talk just very quickly about something that they have done to help other people, and it's been quite a bit lately, and that is probably my proudest thing as a teacher, and like the biggest goal is to not only make sure that students that are in need, families that are in need, have their needs met. And so if that's getting shoes, coats, any of that kind of stuff, and now it's not on me. There's other teachers, there's so many other students that are now aware of that. I hit it hard. Any of you who's in my health class, like from last year, just the health class, like I talk about it a lot, like constantly, of like why it's a big deal to help others. And I'll hit on it again too, but something to think about is we went through it quite a bit. There's two major things to do if you're struggling with mental health issues, as I did and I still do. That's not a secret. Like it's tough to. There's some days that are better than others, right? And so when I have the biggest struggles, I selfishly will do more. I'll do a lot more to try to help other people. I'll kind of dive into these projects, and then that kind of gets me through any struggles that I have, or exercise. So helping others and exercise are two of the best things you can do to help your own self if you're going through struggles. So that's kind of like where that is. So then it's like diving deep of like projects that we can do to help other people. And so I want to make sure to hit this hard that I am extremely proud of you guys, Joseph students. Like you guys have stepped up so many ways. You guys have practiced kindness. You guys are looking out for others. And of course, there's going to be hiccups, but you guys are trying every single day to become better people. And that is why I became a teacher. And so thank you guys for being here. And I'm going to have several of them kind of highlight it. It's about a minute apiece, and I'll try not to be too long. So here we go. I'll try to remember what I did. Okay, so first the 100 rule, and I don't know if this is anywhere else. This is just something that has been kind of my rule. Especially like when I first started here, I would find out like kids would need shoes, and so we'd just get a massive amount of shoes. Anybody, it doesn't matter if they need them or not, we're just gonna get them. Same thing with coats, anything like that. But where I got yelled at the most was in Portland. My wife and I, when we go there, we are going to do a lot to help homeless, right? We've had great experiences, we've had horrific experiences, but that to me doesn't matter. And I have people saying like, oh, they're just going to take that and they're going to buy booze. They're going to do this. They're going to do this. Okay, but I'm going to still do what I can to help. Okay, so my 100 rule, and it's something for you guys to think about, and I've asked my health classes this every single year, and I ask everybody that I can, and there's no wrong answer. For me, and because everybody's going to be different, like life purpose, any of that kind of stuff, mine is about people. So my 100 rule is, and it's something for you to think about. You don't have to answer it, but like in your own head, is it still worth it? So if you help 100 people, and it doesn't matter whether or not it's students, if it's people in the community, anything like that, but we'll think about it in homeless, because that gets like, that's what people argue about a lot, especially right now. We do have a homeless crisis in the United States. There's a poverty crisis throughout there in so many places in the world, and I've been teaching it in my history class. I'll put one student on the spot, and you can just give me one word, Camden. What is one thing? And of course, people are going to argue about this. There's all kinds of stuff, but in Africa, Southeast Asia, in many places throughout the world, what was one thing that led to poverty now? And it's not the only thing. There's a lot of things. But why is there such an issue with poverty, like in the slums of India? Give me one example. What caused this? Okay, thank you. Okay, so we've been hitting that quite a bit. Emerson, what did you tell me yesterday in class? We've been on this for so long. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to try to get through it. We got other things to learn, but I do believe that the colonization of other countries and how the resources are still being owned by those countries, even though they're independent. They're independent. If you look at the news, there's coups happening all the time. There's instability, and there is a reason for that. There's a reason why other countries want countries to be unstable. It's to control what? Give me, is Jonah here? Jonah, give me one reason, or Bryce, what is one major reason why do people want to control other places? Resources. It always comes down to that. So, all right, I'll get back to, this might be forever. I'll try to hurry. I'm sorry. I'm not very good at this, but, so the 100 rule. So if you help 100 homeless people, okay, 100 of them, and 99 of them, it takes advantage. They'll take the money you help or the food or anything like that, and they don't care. It doesn't make a bit of good. It doesn't do any good, and other people are upset at you for doing it. And it costs you time. It costs you effort. It costs you money that you earned, right? But you wanted to help, so you helped 100 of them, and 99 of them it didn't matter, okay? But and that hurts you, right? You're like we've had food thrown at us and all that kind of stuff. It's like. And so, yes, it's a bad experience and all that stuff, but you help 100 of them, and 99 of them, it doesn't matter, and people were mad at you for it and all this other stuff. Didn't make a difference, and they took advantage of you. Maybe they didn't need it, okay? But 1 out of that 100, it made a small difference. It made a small impact to where they felt a key word. They felt something. Can any of you guys give it? It starts with an H. Powerful. Happiness? Yeah, happiness is great, but what? Hope. Yes, hope is extremely powerful, okay? If somebody's going through mental health issues, any of that kind of stuff, if you can help somebody have a sliver of hope to where they might be able to that they're like, that was amazing. That was an act of kindness. That was incredible. I have hope now. I can keep going, right? And then maybe they get off the streets. I know people. I showed my health class yesterday. There's this YouTube channel called Invisible People, and he goes around. He was homeless before, and he goes around interviewing homeless people, and then he asks them if you have 3 wishes. And most of the time, the 3 wishes are about helping other people. It's pretty incredible. But and you'll find like a lot of people are homeless like for reasons that you don't understand. Like they kind of hit you pretty hard. Right? And so he was helped, and that made an impact to where he wanted to help other people just like that. And so think about it that way. If you help 100 people and 99 of them doesn't matter, but one of them, one student, one person in the community, one person in another country, it made a bit of difference, and it made an impact on him. Was that still worth it? And you don't have to shake it. Like my first health class that I taught, more than half of the class said no. Too many people took advantage of it, okay? But my goal is to keep teaching and get that to where it's closer, like 90% of the people are like, yes, that's still worth it. Because I do think that if you have time and you can, I think that helping somebody else, a random act of kindness, something small throughout your day, anything like that, even just giving somebody a compliment, something like that can change, can make a huge difference. So that's my 100 rule. And I'm only on slide 1. This is bad. I'll try to hustle. So, because I got to release these kids too. So a little about myself, taught history, wildland fire science, mental health, physical education at Joseph. This is my 11th year. Found a passion in traveling the world and volunteering in the places that I'm able to. And I only started this because of my health class. I love the health class that I teach. It's definitely I'm kind of passionate about all my classes, but like that one like every single day, it's something that like I get to kind of curtail it to anything that I want to teach, and it's usually about learning about poverty, learning about how we can help others, and learning about mental health and drug addiction and how people cope with issues and understanding what is going on in people's heads as much as we can to be more forgiving, honestly. And be more kind. I already hit this one. Issues, a lot of like family drug addiction, that kind of stuff. And my students definitely know, like it's always kind of hard to talk about, but I want them to know that if they're going through struggles that I've gone through probably close to the same. There's a lot of stuff, and if I haven't, my siblings had, and I've lived it. And so I am open with my students about that. A lot of students don't know, like they usually will have to either take one of my like health classes, kind of hit it hard, or they'll be in for kind of a butt chewing. I'll have to sit them down, like if there was an instance of like anything that happened, and I'm like, this is why I think it's very important, and so I'll teach about it, and so I'll give them a little bit of history. So how did this begin? I hit this, I can kind of skip this, so that's kind of cool. I had my mental health students do research about mental health in the United States and the crises we are facing and throughout the world. And so how, like, every year we try to do this. Some years we go a lot harder. It all depends on kind of what the class's needs is. And so what they found is the best ways you can help yourself mentally is to help others. We did researches on charities. I'm going to have Matthew talk about that one. And through this, I wanted to go and volunteer at the charities that we found our research. And so, of course, like most of the time I can't, like when I did Africa, it was about a month. And that's still just a drop in the bucket. Okay, and so when I go there, we try to do as much impact as we can, but that's still a drop in the bucket. What I mostly do with those charities is I try to highlight them. I try to get more volunteers to go, and then I try to do more fundraisers using these clubs. And I'm going to have some students talk about their clubs, and because a lot of these students have, if not all of these students, have partaken in some sort of fundraiser that have donated to one of these charities that I've worked for. And continue. All of these charities I still keep in contact, and anything they need I try to provide. We are branching out. I'll have Matthew kind of highlight the next one that my wife and I are going to. This one was India, and so I will try to get to that because it is called Adventures in India, and it was an adventure. But yeah, so my biggest hope and goal through volunteering is to set the example for my students to want to help others and learn how rewarding and impactful it can be. And so, yeah. Next slide. That's awesome. It feels good. My students have been incredible with taking an interest in helping others and working with the charities that I have. And so I am going to have several students kind of talk about it for about 30 to a minute maybe. But I'm not one to talk because I kind of ramble. So we'll start with Rice and Dyson.
Am I supposed to introduce myself or what?
Sure.
I'm Ryson Collier, and I'm a senior at Joseph. And myself, and a couple other students partnered with Fulfer last year with a charity called Hope and Soul. It's based in Africa, and they kind of just like help get people what they need, like shelter, food, water. So we basically fundraised, got like hundreds of dollars, and donated to a family to help them build their house, get new windows, get new doors. And that's pretty much just the basics of it. Do you want me to touch up on anything else?
Nope, that was perfect.
All right.
All right, let's try to remember who's next. Kason. So Kason's done amazing work. Here you go. Yeah, and I'm super excited about this. Like, I could have picked so many kids, but here you go.
Hi, I'm Kason Cunningham. I'm a junior. And I actually started a closet. It's called Cinderella's Closet. I take donations of dresses, formal dresses, and they actually get loaned out to kids in the community as well as kids at my school. They can use them for formal events, which count as, homecoming, prom, and those types, as well as if they're having like a dance or a fun function around the county that is not involved with the school. I also allow them to lend dresses that they can wear and then return back to the closet.
And this is used constantly. Like it started out a little slow and for the first week, and then it just picked up. This is kids from out of the county as well. It's Enterprise, Wallowa. We've had Imbler kids. Like, it's been awesome. So families that cannot afford those dresses, and they're expensive for those dances, like they get to go pick out of amazing dances, and that's a huge impact on families and kids. So
We have 500 dresses now. So.
yeah, no, it's awesome. So another thing, if you want to donate dresses, contact Kason, because that's an incredible thing that she's doing. Addie?
I'm Addie Moore, a junior at Joseph Charter, and I joined Kindness Club this last year, and we put on a family night where parents could come drop off their kids. They'd stay for the night. We made dinner, we watched a movie, we played games with them. Families could go off, do whatever. Payment was by donation, whatever they could afford, and all of that money went to charity. And this next year, I'm going to do my senior project and include kids and the charity and, all that stuff.
And I can't tell you guys how happy it makes me when a senior tells me that their senior project, and all the senior projects are great, they're community-based, but when it's talking about fundraising and getting people in the community involved, and that they're like, I want to give this to one of the charities that you work for, or find a new one, that excites me more than anything. That shows a lot of heart and care. So 2 seniors that have done that, I'm going to bring up right now. They're going to say theirs together, but you've got to both talk about each of yours. Deal. That's the deal.
Hi, I'm Rose Christensen. I'm a senior at Joseph Charter.
I'm Lakota Steele, and I'm also a senior.
So for my senior project, I opened up a resource closet, which has everyday clothing for kids K through 12. And it has shoes and things like shampoo and toothbrushes. And my biggest thing is coats. I've gotten a lot of donations for coats. And my goal for this was just to help the kids at our school and in the community. And I've actually been able to bring not only our community together, but also a community from my old school, because they helped by donating both clothes and doing a 50-50 raffle to donate money. And so that was pretty cool.
Okay. For my senior project, I decided to make healthcare packages because so many kids in the elementary get sick and they can't really prevent it, and we don't have a school nurse to help them out. So the packages have barf bags, instant cool packs, Band-Aids, ointments, and other stuff. And I have also provided extra clothing like underwear, socks, and pants for kids who either accidentally wet their pants or get their socks soaking wet or their pants soaking wet. And I just wanted to help them out.
Go on. No, I'm just kidding. That just makes me so happy and proud. Lo? Oh, this one right here. This one's, yeah.
This one right
Yeah. This one, yeah. I was trying to remember. This one's, yeah. They're all amazing, but you guys got to go? Yeah. Bye. Thank you.
My name is Lauren McBurney. I'm a sophomore at Joseph Charter School, and I'm sure most of y'all have heard about Interact Club, but Interact is a student-led club that is partnered with Rotary. It's actually the student version of Rotary, and Rotary is a huge club that just helps people all over the country. There's rodeo clubs in hundreds of countries. And so a trip we did is we actually went to Mexico a few years back, and me and my co-president Camden both went, and we came back from Mexico and we got to volunteer at hospitals. It was really eye-opening to how much people outside of the country need internationally. So we decided to come back and host a color run, which is where the whole community came together. They paid a $10 fee and got to do a 5K, which raised money for a charity of our choice. Unfortunately, the charity we were going to do, which was the clinic we visited in Mexico, fell through. There was no possible way to get the money we raised It was hundreds of dollars, so we ended up talking to Fulfer, and he chose a charity that was in Thailand. So we are going to send about $800 to Thailand to help them with that. And we're actually hosting another color run. The date is soon to come out. But if y'all would like to participate, the money is going to go towards a charity, and it's Interact Club is constantly doing community service events within our community and all the way internationally.
Amazing. Thank you, Lauren. And I mixed up Lo and Lauren. It's close enough. So I have Grayson Hawkins here, but he's a little too nervous. That's all right. So Matthew's going to talk for him and talk about his senior project, and that'll be the last student, and then I'll try to get to India. I'll make it quick. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Matthew. In Olan Fulfer's global health class, they did research on a charity called Go Happiness in Thailand. It's basically to help families and kids that are, unable to support themselves, like if they need clothes, food, anything like that. And then for my senior project, I kind of follow the footsteps of Olan when it comes to the whole wanting to coach to help kids. So for my senior project, the 5th and 6th basketball team wasn't going to have a coach this year. And so if they didn't have a coach, they wouldn't have had a season. And so I just kind of took the role and took them to a tournament in Powder. I also am going to be next year hosting a tournament in Joseph Charter and also going to Powder. And so, yeah, thank you.
Yep. Thank you. All right. So our next spot is going to be Thailand, and it is from the health class. And so usually, actually, all of the let's see. Yep, I think I can skip this. Their passion for helping. Yes, it is amazing. Thank you guys so much. Lauren, done. Yeah. Look at that. We're ahead. So volunteer experiences, and I'm trying to keep adding, but started out in Arusha, and that came from a health project. Istanbul, Turkey, Playa del Carmen, Mexico, New Delhi, and then our next one is going to be Bangkok, Thailand, and it's going to be June and July. And it's going to be really, really cool. And this was, this is teaching chess. I did chess, basketball. I ended up working at an orphanage, special needs school. And then we did family visits. This is in Mexico. And then this right here was working in Turkey, Istanbul. And this is working with Syrian and Ukrainian refugees who have not found homes. And so they were homeless. There's this massive square. Thousands of people a night would be fed. So we would spend the day making food, and then we would hand it out in an orderly fashion. And so it was, that was awesome. And so, they're all small charities that we researched to where we can make an impact. And so, why volunteer in India? So I'm going to get to India. Yeah, all right. 269 people in India, 21% of the population live under the poverty line. 200 million people, yes. Yeah. Live this, I know, I'm not good at reading, but if I don't, then I'll forget. Which is I can read. I'm not saying I can't read. I can. That is what I said. You're correct. But I'm not like actually just sitting off of there. There's my health class right now. If I had B in this class, B would be going like this because they call it Fulfer talk. Because I would just ramble, and I would get to one thing and just spend the entire class. History class. How many slides did I get through for like 3 days? One slide. I spent one slide just talking about the start of colonialism and just could not get past it. And so when I click next, it's kind of a big deal. So I'll try to be better for you guys. But so I'm not good at just like sitting there and reading it is what I meant, which is the highest number of poor people in the world living on $1.90 per person a day. And so think about that. And that's how I equated it when we were in Africa. For $5 US, it can feed a family of 6 for an entire week. Okay, and that's all necessities. That's cooking oil, that's rice, that's ugali, that's literally all the kind of foods that you can need. And that's something that I was trying to impress on the students and on our community is that a small amount to us goes a long ways. Okay, and so $1.90 is how much they make an entire day. right? And so a lot of people will be like, they'll say, oh, why are you going over there? Like, they can work. They can just get jobs and pay for that kind of stuff. Why does that not actually work? Right? Yeah, they're not making very much money. I know some incredibly hardworking people. Okay, and we're actually there's an epidemic that's going on in the United States. They call it the working poor. People are working, and I was in my health class again yesterday. I was explaining to them with the inflation, with what the federal minimum wage is right now, with people are working extremely hard. A lot of people like they want to be like, oh, they're homeless. They're homeless because they're lazy. Like, just get a job. There are so many homeless people that have jobs that are working over 40 hours a week that still cannot afford housing. Okay, so I want to make sure to hit that hard. And there's people in our community like that. There are, like in Wallowa County, there are people that are struggling every single day of picking between paying rent and buying food. And it's tough. You know, like, times are hard everywhere. And so for people, and I do believe, like, I try not to hit the super rich, super hard. I don't want to get in trouble, but I do believe that there's a lot of people that can help a lot more than they do. And so if we can set that impact with our students, it all starts with education. Like, if we can make that impact on the students of like, we can do more, we can skimp a little bit more on certain things to help other people, and to understand why, not just like, oh, help somebody else, but understand what they're actually going through. And that is another reason why I do want to support students traveling and volunteering when they travel, and seeing how these people live, and and understanding the struggle. And so when they come back, they can teach that as well. And so that's one reason why I do it. So colonial exploitation by BYI, by the British in occupation in 1947. Spending on public health care ranks the lowest in the world. Many rural areas still follow the caste system. And so the caste system, in a lot of places, we actually, working with the charity that we did, Robin Hood Army, we did come up with some issues. It wasn't all roses and sunshine, which it will never be volunteering. But there are people that, if you help certain people, they're called untouchables in India. And my history class understands that now. My health class understands that. They believe that, and it got banned. It's illegal since the 70s, but it's still part of the Hindu faith. And they believe that they did not live a good life, and that they were born poor and need to stay poor, but how to not become poor. Oh, you guys can come in if they want. Yeah. I'll introduce them. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that. Anyways, yeah. So they believe they need to live a really good life, which I really love. I do love that part. Like, live a good life, and then in your next life you will be rewarded with a better life. But right now you shouldn't be helped. They've gotten a lot better. They've come a long ways, but you'll still run into some issues. So. High illiteracy rates in rural areas, huge inequality gaps between rich and poor. And we have that everywhere. United States has it, but in India it's extremely evident. Every 10 seconds a child dies from hunger. 1/3 of the food produced around the world is never consumed. There are 850 million hungry people in the world. Robin Hood Army, this is one of the charities we worked for. We worked another one that I'll introduce, but this was a ton of fun, and they do an amazing amount of good. Volunteer-based, zero-fund organization. So they do not take any donations. My wife and I tried to donate. They don't take any donations at all. And all the volunteers, including the founder, like, it's all 100% volunteer-based. What they do is they get food, they get drinks, they get anything that they can from businesses that can afford it, and then they get together and they organize in certain slums. There's different sections and that they adopt, and then they'll go there and they'll do outreach. And so not only are they handing out food, they're handing out drinks, they're doing clothes, shoes. But they're also educating. They're teaching lessons to children and families that are not able to get education. Their mission is to beat global hunger and bring out the best of humanity by using food as a medium. And they do an amazing job with it. Yeah, so what we did, we handed out squash. That was a drink. It's kind of like they call it squash, and I remember when they told us we're gonna be handing out squash. I was like thinking the vegetable, but it's a drink, and there was so many people that needed it. It's extremely hot there, and they're in need, and so we were literally making it as fast as we can, and we probably served every day over 1,000 people. And then we were able to do food, celebrated Holi with children in one of the slum areas that they adopted, taught children lessons, played games. I taught the volunteers how to play a lot of the games that we play, and then magic tricks. And I have a video that I'll show you, but this is my wife and I. I wanted her to talk because I thought that would have been kind of cool, but she said absolutely no way. So, yeah. But, so kind of some pictures, but this is, watch this girl right here. Is this me doing this? Oh, that is. That's cool. So watch her at the end. This is, I did a lot of magic tricks. This is the only one that was on video. But I'm trying to think, like the one with my nose, I took my finger off. That one just blew their minds, but I couldn't do that one, but I have a lot, and then the volunteers wanted me to teach them as well. I actually had one volunteer because they're all from the community area, and one volunteer, I'm teaching it like that, and he saw the actual trick, and he goes, I know what that is, and he got like super excited. I was like, I know. I was like, this is for kids, and he's like, I saw it. It's behind your neck, and was so happy. And I was like, and they had to explain to her, like, no, this is for kids. Like, I'm not a real magician. So, but this is the end of one of them. So I'll try to press play. Oh yeah. Just wait. Yeah, she's fun. All right, some more pictures. These are the volunteers right here. I still talk with all of them pretty much. We message almost every day. I play chess with, no, he's not in this one. But yeah, so they'll show up every day. They work hard. Like it's pretty incredible what they do. I'm trying to get more people that I worked with in Africa to go there and volunteer as well. I did get people that I volunteered with in Africa go to Turkey, Istanbul, to work with the charity that I worked with there, and that was amazing. And so people with more of means than we are. Like a lot of people will ask, like, oh, how do you afford this and all that kind of stuff. It takes a lot. Like I do fight fires. I have other jobs. So all of that, I try to work as much as I can while I'm here, and so that we can afford to be able to do this. But when we do, we're not staying in the nicest place. We're usually eating the same stuff that we're handing out and all that kind of stuff. Volunteers always eat the food. We'll at the end of the day we'll eat whatever's left. Especially in India. India, it's a big deal. You do not waste food. So anything's left, we'll eat. We'll continue to try to make sure it's handed out. If there's not enough, then Tessa and I would not eat, and we would buy something. But most of the time, I mean, ended up. Tessa did get sick. We went to the hospital. She's on antibiotics, but that was more to do with brushing teeth, I think, later on. But yeah, so this one right here. So that was the Robin Hood Army. We're going to continue working with them. They don't take donations, and so doing a fundraiser or anything like that it's not going to work. And so it's more about highlighting them and bringing awareness and trying to get more volunteer help and that way. But so this right here. So the Robin Hood Army didn't meet every single day. I don't like wasting time. And so we when we're not volunteering, we'll see like the history spots, but those don't usually take very long to do like the tourist stuff. We don't do any tours. We'll try to do it on ourselves. And if I had time, I would. There was a couple things that ended up happening that weren't great, and that we totally walked ourselves into. And but most of everything in India was incredible. Like the people, like especially the volunteers, were the nicest people ever. This was Guru Dwara Bangla Sahib. It's a massive temple that serves, like, it's an unreal number. It's 100,000, over 100,000 people some days a day. And it was nonstop. So you can go there. They're 24/7. You'll go there, and we were there a lot, and so we ended up having a lady that we still talk with. She actually called us like she was my mom. Like she loved us. Every single day we would go and find her. I'll actually skip a picture to show you real quick and then go back. Right there. Oh, she's just the best lady ever. But so this right here is where they'll take the volunteers. You have to wash. They have to make sure that you're following all their rules. Can't have shoes, anything like that. But so I'll go back. Yeah. So it's a Sikh temple, and it's a community kitchen. We thought it was just the most amazing thing ever. Like they do breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it does not matter who you are, they're gonna serve you food. And so people from the community, like everybody, like, and there's a reason why it's over. It could be 40 to 100,000. It seemed like every day that we were there, it was because their eating halls were mass packed, and it was amazing. And so you have a lot of volunteers doing as much as they can every single day. And obviously they can't pay people like to be able to serve that much. All the food is donated, and all the volunteers just go there and they do as much as they can. But let's see. Yeah, anyone regardless of religion, race, gender can come and get a free meal. So this is I always chapatis. Okay, yeah, chapatis. I started out really terrible at it and then ended up getting really good. Like there's a video that I'm kind of teaching Tessa again of like how to do it. Like it took me so long, but mine ended up being just perfect circles. Yeah, chapati right there. But the best thing I did that I was so Tessa was great at chopping vegetables and all that kind of stuff. I was an amazing dishwasher, and so every chance I get, like that was like the best job possible. And so they would come over like when you okay? You want to tell them what they told you? This is kind of bragging a little bit, but yeah. So they kept telling her you're too slow, and then they point at me, and I'm just going as fast as I possibly can, washing these dishes, and I love washing dishes, and so that was like my job. But if you can see this, like after I was done, like if you can, actually you can't really see that. Can you see the dark spots on that hat right there? That's sweat. I was about dying every day. Can you see the dark spots on this? I don't know if I can point. Right there, yeah, the shirt. When I was done in there, drenched in sweat. And then we would go from here, we would get a tuk-tuk, and we would go and volunteer with the Robin Hood Army. A tuk-tuk. What do they call it? Yeah, so tuk-tuk's more, it's like a rickshaw, a motor rickshaw. And so usually super cheap. Do I have a picture? I think this is it. Yeah, it's like a little motorcycle, and then there's a seat in the back. Yes, yeah.
Is it one of those like carts that it's like basically like 3 wheels kind of?
Yep. Yeah. And yeah, it's really, really great way to move around. I think this is it. That would be cool. All right. So yeah. There were some scary situations that we got ourselves into. I'm very trusting. So like when we talk about adventures in India, we definitely had some adventures. The volunteers, I don't know, do I tell a story, Rich? Yeah. Yes, please. It's up to Rich. So yeah. So we were collecting money. So the places like to be able to help volunteer or to help certain areas. They don't take Visa, right? It's going to be cash, and so We ended up, well, I'll just make this really short, but we hired a tuk-tuk. In Africa, I had a tuk-tuk driver that I met that I still talk with weekly, where he's an amazing friend. He helped me for weeks there, going buy shoes, buy food, buy all that stuff, and then he would get us in contact with families that needed it. And so I was expecting kind of the same. And so we got a tuk-tuk ride, and they took us to places that we needed. They said 150 rupees, which is about $1.50, and we were going to pay him about 1,000 rupees. And then kept asking to be took to the place that we needed, and then finally he stopped and then demanded $1,000 and was very upset, like very forceful. And then there was a couple other ones that were kind of in some scary spots. But what we didn't want to pay for a tour or anything like that, so we're Americans in some places. We don't speak Hindi, and I'm very trusting, and I love history, and so I'm just kind of leading Tessa and I into some spots and pointing out some stuff and kind of like talking about the history there, and then getting into some areas that we should not have been in, and so yeah. But that was definitely my own doing. But most every single person that we met in India was just incredibly nice, and so yeah. Any questions? That's awesome. This is 12:47. Yeah. Cool. Oh, yes.
Why did they call that charity Robin Hood?
Robin Hood Army. Well, it's funny because I talked to my history class about this. So Robin Hood would steal from the rich and give to the poor, correct? They're not stealing from the rich, they're having things given to the rich. And so I think, I don't think it's lost in translation, but I do think, so yeah, I'll go back to this. But so they're basically getting things that they can from people that can afford it and giving it out to the poor, the people in the biggest need. So yeah, but I talked about some of those areas of like, we glorify like Robin Hood, and then some of those areas like Tessa and I, when we travel, we have been robbed. And if you think about like, and I'm not saying robbing somebody is okay or anything like that, but understanding why in certain areas when people are starving and this might get me in trouble, but because I know it's a touchy subject, so I'm not saying like robbing anything like that, but the money that they took from us probably went to some good need. Like we got robbed in Paris and found out like they were Somalian refugees that were homeless, that were basically starving. And so it's basically rob us. Yeah, this is definitely controversial, but but you know what? But it's either them and their kids starve, or they can rob somebody like us that definitely could have afforded it. And so I didn't like being robbed. It was not great, and it terrified my wife. She cried and cried, but how I justify it in my mind is, they probably needed it more than we did. So I'm not justifying robbing people. I know you're a police officer. I'm not doing that at all. But I did tell my kids of like understanding of like these certain areas, like they talk about, like when I was in Tanzania, they said be careful, like if you go there, they're going to take everything that you have. It's like, yeah, because they have literally nothing, and they know that like they can take everything, and you still are going to be okay. Like as long like we've never been physically harmed, we've been threatened, but yeah. Right, and Aladdin. Oh yeah, that was another one, right? Aladdin. Yes.
Did you have any contact with the Tibetan people?
Oh man, I don't yet. I've been trying to go there. The issue with Tibet is obviously it's near impossible for an American to go still.
You go down Shala, you go up in the north, and you can get in easy.
No kidding. Oh, well, yeah, that would be amazing. So I want to go to Nepal. Another issue is affordability as well. It's like the flights to Nepal are too much for us right now. But Tibet is a dream of mine. Believe me, it is.
Yeah, the people are amazing.
Yes, absolutely. So and the history there is incredible. Yes.
There's 1,000 that are in Canada.
No kidding.
I have
Oh.
some good friends that live there.
Are they considered refugees, or are they settled there now?
They're in Toronto.
No kidding. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, that's awesome. Caleb.
I think my parents taught English in Tibet for quite a few years.
Really?
They met
Yeah.
Say that out loud.
No, no more talking for me. Oh.
My parents taught English in Tibet for a few years, and that's actually where they met.
All right, that's awesome. Yeah, I knew that they taught in China too, correct? Yeah. So, yes.
So how many of you students are thinking about traveling to foreign countries at some time in the near future? Oh, near future. Well.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Well, so I didn't start traveling.
How many of you have heard of the Peace Corps?
Ooh.
Well, come and talk
Yeah.
to me about it sometime.
Yeah. Yeah, so Maya is actually going to be an exchange student going to France next year. So I think that's incredible. So, yeah. But, yeah. Yeah, so I didn't, 2018 was the first year that we can afford to travel. And so I think, oh, yeah, yes.
Do you have a donation box for your charity?
For the one that we're going in Thailand? So we're gonna do that's a great question because my health class. So we're doing research right now on charities. We're going to narrow them down to one, and then we're going to be doing a fundraiser for the charity that the class picks that they want to help the most. And so, no. Oh yes. Sorry, I'm not that organized, but yes. Yeah. Question, Mrs. Dotson? I'm just kidding. You're the best. So, yeah, I think that about does it. Cut the mic.